Animation in Hebrew is hanfasha, derived from the word nefesh, and as such, the animated medium can best relay the soul of a story, and it can also touch the very delicate places of our nefesh. And that's why animation is the best vehicle to tell the stories of the best soul doctor in the world, Rabbi Nachman of Breslev. And here, Mevoch in Israel, is where all the magic happens. Let's go inside and see the team. Here at Aran Productions is where all the magic happens. Every movie begins with a script, but when you come to do an animated movie, every second counts. So you have to, first of all, storyboard everything, and this is where the storyboarding happens. Come, let's see Ophir.
Okay, so I'm working on the storyboard right now. It's actually a process that starts with me sitting with Eldad. We're talking about the script and thinking how visually we're gonna make it look. So the first thing I do, I take just a paper and I start drawing some thumbnails. You can see some of these like that. I use thumbnails like this, so in the beginning it's very, very rough, as you can see, just ideas. It's quickly, while I'm talking to Eldad, I'll be drawing some stuff so we can just flash out all our visual ideas for the story. And then I take these thumbnails and I put them here in the computer and I make them look even better, so we can go frame by frame and see the movie. So in the end, it's just, you see the king is coming at night, walking in, breaking the gate, going back, and then he's just walking and looking inside.
All the pictures that he's creating, at the end, will become a video board that gives us a reference and a guideline for continuity, for duration, for timing, and every shot is very, very carefully planned. Our next station over here is the concept art station. Sandra over here, she basically explores the visual language of the film. She looks at every little detail of the film and starts molding the visual language of the film. It begins with concept art. It starts as a reference. The reference turns to sketches that she sketches out. Once we like the sketch, she gives it different poses, and then we give it coloring, textures, and slowly, we get a feel for what the character looks like, and then the rest of the characters come into that same world, and the same goes for locations, until we find the basic concept art of the film with the visual language of where the film happens.
It takes just one sketch of the character to the moment when it really emerges and you recognize it. That's a great moment. You realize that, no, he's not grumpy, he's actually kind of curious and childlike. This is the king, and it's a great feeling when you really find it.
After we lock down the concept for the art, we start in the modeling phase. Basically, each drawing now is turning into a sort of a virtual statue.
Let's say I want to give this king a crown.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to start with some kind of a basic geometrical shape, and I can put this thing over his head. This build out of polygons, and now I can take each face. Let's say we want to give him these horns to the crown or something like this.
The amount of exploration that went into this film is phenomenal, because every gesture, every way, every eyebrow, every curve of the king's body, of the fixer's home, of the person they're talking to, of the way the world that they live in, everything really makes such an effect on the meaning of the story. And we really tried as best as we can, of course with Rabbi Kramer's help and guidance, to stay true and hope that the message reaches the people just like Rabbi Nachman wanted it, because we truly believe that Rabbi Nachman planted seeds over here for the whole of humanity to benefit from. So when we were exploring the king, exploring the characters, why is he doing this to the fixer? Is he an angry king, or is he a happy king? Is he just like a philosophical king? When we did the first model of the king, his eyebrow was going like this, and we all said, you know what, the king looks like an angry king, a bit mean, but actually we decided he's not angry. So by just lifting his eyebrows a little bit and changing his facial expressions a little bit, gives him a whole different character. each element, as you see, can changes the whole story. After we lock down the model, we have to give it life. In order to give it life, Almog has to build a rig. A rig is basically a virtual mechanical configuration of bones and muscles that allow the animators to move the character in certain ways.
For the first time, I'm going to make the king sit on this chair. I have the model that's made out of polygons and vertices and faces. It's the material we use, the geometry we use, and now I have to move it. So I give it a skeleton, I give it bones. These squares with the colors are the bones. And then I have to tell him which bone affect which area, like our bones and muscles. Now every bone affects an area. And before I even adjust it or make it precise, already now the king possibly can move. Let's try to move it for the first time. He moves his head for the first time. And then for the first time, the king sits down.
The next phase is animation. Animation is actually moving, giving life into the whole process. And it's got to make sure every piece, every hand gesture is right, every eyebrow gesture is right. It's a very, very nitpicky work that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and really trying to mimicking the real live movement of a violinist in this case. Like an old puppeteer, but now using computer technology, everything comes to life. After the animator gives life to the whole process and gives life to the movement of the characters, the compositor over here gives the real live feeling to the picture by adding layers and layers of smoke, of glow, of real colors, and then making the picture look like real life as a real 3D image.
Nachman's teachings reach everybody. If you look at it carefully, it has something for your heart. Religious, non-religious, Jewish, non-Jewish, it doesn't matter. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Everybody knows that, right? Shema Yisrael, Rashi says, listen, because Hashem, Shehu Elokeinu, He is our God now. Hu Yihiyeh Hashem Echad. He will be the God for the entire world. How do you get Hashem Echad to everybody? How? If we're a few 100,000 Jews, there's 15 million Jews in the world. Okay, how are you going to reach the 15 million? But there's 7 billion people on the planet. How are you going to reach 7 billion? And this is the way to do it. And that's why I care about it. Now you know what your responsibility is.
Making this movie is a huge privilege for me. Not only because we're making a great movie and we're actually going for a very Pixar quality and we have all the means to make it really look good and everything, but the message of the film, the message by Rabbi Nachman, I really believe that this message can change the world, can give a lot of emunah to a lot of people in the world. And for me, it was kind of closing a circle, because since I became a Baal Tshuva, people knew that I was coming from the world of movies. They told me, you have to make a movie out of Rabbi Nachman's stories. But there was never enough money, and there was never a good budget for it, and there was never, the time wasn't right. And now it all came together, and I think that it's a huge privilege and an honor for me to be a part of this amazing project.
So Baruch Hashem, I'm here in the studio where they're producing the film, and it's amazing. I had an idea what animation was about, I'd read about it, but now I see it. Right? When Rabbi Nachman says that the eye, the person becomes much more animated with what he sees with his eye, rather than what he just hears about. And Baruch Hashem, I feel much more animated now because of what I've seen, all the guys working, all different processes and all different things that go on in order to make the animation happen. It's a tremendous process, it's very hard. And I hope Be'ezah Hashem that we'll be zoicha to see the finish of this project, which should be the start of many, many other projects too.